Hi everyone, and welcome back to Chess for Charity. In this video, I'm going to show you two really amazing checkmate in 2 problems. So these are two really tricky ones that I think there's some value in learning the patterns here. So let's look at this first one here. If you want to take a moment, feel free to pause the video. It's not crazy difficult, but I would say it's on the difficult side. It's white to move, and the pawns are going this way and this way. And if you'd like to try to pause, feel free. Now's your last chance. And while you think about pausing, let me just say that thank you to all the people who have subscribed. I recently crossed 3,000 subscribers, and I'm just so grateful for all the support. We've given a lot to charity so far, and I'm already looking forward to next month and giving more. Okay, so it's white to move. You might see that this pattern usually lends itself to a checkmate with the rook. Well, that sounds good, but if you do that right now, what happens? You get captured. That's not cool. So you can't do that. Okay, what if you think about what are their options? You think maybe I push the pawn, maybe I put the bishop somewhere, like here or there. And you have to kind of sit there and consider all the different ways that you can limit black's options. We only have mate in 2. So it seems like no matter what I do with the rook, if I go here, for example, looking to eye up this checkmate, that does not work because they push the pawn and they cover that square that I wanted to give checkmate from. Okay, and you might go, okay, what else do I do? Maybe I try to cut off this square because the king can move here and the pawn can move here. So there are 2 options, right? Well, yeah. How can you cut off both, or not necessarily both, because that would be stalemate. How do you cut off one option? Well, you might think, well, I can cut off an option right here. Take this. Yeah, that would be stalemate, right? I cut off the only option the king could move, and I took the pawn. So I cut off both options at one time. That didn't work. So what's the move? Well, you have to realize that in chess, one of the best things you can do is limit your opponent's forces. And right now they have 2 legal moves, right? So what you do is you stop their pawn from moving. And you might go, okay, you might say, that's great. I don't see how that really helps me. Well, here's the thing. What you just did, and maybe now you see it, maybe what you just did is meaningful because you limited them to 1 move. And not just any 1 move. Look at this king going here. Do you see the mate? Look at this bishop. If you don't see it, you're going to see it in a second because I just mentioned the bishop. What is this condition with the pawn here and the bishop here? Well, it means that this pawn can never capture, right? It can't capture on a3. And look at that. That is the mate right there. The bishop is pinning the pawn and the rook is taking out this whole A file. Isn't that just an incredible puzzle? So you have to first limit their options. They walk into a pin and they walk into it because you force them to, not because it's voluntary. Then you play rook a3, checkmate. I love the element of Zugzwang in that position. You have to make them make that move. Incredible puzzle. Let me know if you like that one. Second one. Tell me if it's easier or harder. So it's white to move again. It's still a mate in 2. So have fun. You have 2 knights, 2 pawns against a rook, and of course a king. How do you make progress here to get mate in 2? Clearly you can win this game, right? If you want to just take this rook, or if you want to promote this one, it's fine. Or take the rook this way. There are plenty of ways to win. But, like I've said in past videos, the most efficient way will save yourself a couple of seconds here and there in bullet, and you'll win more games from just being efficient. So, oops, not there. That's not going to be mate in 2. So, what do you think about this? Well, let's notice the squares around the king first. This knight, we'll do colors, is blocking off this square and this square. This knight is blocking off this square and this square. So they have this d6 square. Okay, and of course the king is blocking this one. And they also have this f7 square. So it should be noted really immediately that within these two options, if you promote to a queen, for example, ouch, that is a stalemate. You just took away their two safe squares. So you can't promote to a queen by promoting, by taking, I mean. You can promote to a queen like this, and that would pretty much be this kind of sequence. That's not mate. This is not mate. They have king to d6, right? Not enough. So remember, you're trying to mate them in two. So you're like, well, how do I limit their options and force them to do what I want them to do? Well, you could think about it this way. Maybe I promote this to a knight or something, give check. Yeah, it looks cool. And maybe you're thinking something like this, some fancy knight move. Yeah, again, they have d6. So as cool as this looks, and it does look pretty cool, right? This like aesthetic of the knights here, that's a check. It does look nice, but that's not a mate in two. Okay, so how do you arrive at the answer? Well, let's revisit this promotion to a queen. What was the problem with this? The problem was that it captured the rook, so it took away the rook moves, and it removed the square f7 and the square d6 from black's possible moves, therefore leaving them completely stalemated, including this pawn because the knight is covering. So we want to limit the diagonal because d6 seems to be the way that they get out on every turn. Well, maybe now you can start to see the correct answer. So we want to limit this square. So maybe instead of promoting this pawn to a queen and blocking this square, like a simple way of doing it, because that can just get captured, maybe instead of doing something like that, which this is a good move, but where does the king go after this? f7, and then d7 is mate. So that's a mate in 3. So we're getting closer, right? We're trying to block this square. Instead of doing that, you might say, is there a more direct way to block off d6? And if you found this, great job. I'm going to share the answer now. Pawn takes rook, promote to a bishop. And you might go, why a bishop? If a queen can do it, what's the problem? Well, a queen covers this f7 square. So this is actually an example of where under promoting to a bishop is better than promoting to a queen. You promote to a queen, it's a draw. So you have to intentionally take a less strong weapon, a weaker weapon, and win that way. So right now, black has one move. King to f7. What's the winning move? Do I promote to a queen? Do I promote to a rook, a bishop, a knight? The pawn itself can't stand here. You promote to a knight, and look at that checkmate. That might be one of the coolest checkmates I've ever seen. You got 3 knights and a bishop just surrounding the enemy king, right? This knight, everybody's doing a job. Look at this. I just love the aesthetics of this. I think it's just me. I like the aesthetics of chess in general because chess is an amazing, amazing game. So the answer in this puzzle is you capture the rook with a bishop. You intentionally grab the weak sword here. You don't want to kill him in one shot. You need to bring the bishop out just to give them one square. Once they have that square, then you promote to a knight. That is just amazing. Personally, I like the second puzzle more than the first one, but you tell me. You let me know. I think they're both amazing, but also I'm kind of biased. I love all the chess puzzles because clearly if I didn't, I wouldn't make a YouTube channel about chess and puzzles. But yeah, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please let me know. Please leave some comments. Liking the video always helps. Subscribing really helps. And that's it for now. Thank you so much. Bye.